Hi, I'm Supermoon Tarot, and in today's video, we are going to be answering the question, am I on their mind? We're looking for context, depth, intentions, whatever else pops up in the spread. As you can see, we have 4 groups in front of us. We have clear quartz, pink opal, seafoam calcite, and rose quartz. I know this doesn't look like rose quartz, it's an incredibly pale shade of pink, which makes me only love it more. Doesn't have any less abilities or powers or strength, just wanted you to know it's there. Anyways, I'm going to give you a moment to pick the group you resonate with most. Now that you have, you can go down to the description where you can skip to your designated group and we can get started with group number 1. Group number 1, let's find out, am I on their mind by looking at the cards? We have 7 of Wands in reverse, 10 of Wands upright, Ace of Swords upright, 3 of Swords upright, and 10 of Cups in reverse. Okay, this is a pretty straightforward one. So first off the bat, yes, they are thinking about you. I want to be very specific. This is talking about people who have been, when you guys parted ways, it would have been some deep form of betrayal, most likely cheating. And cheating can be emotional cheating. Maybe they were spending too much time on their career or their projects, and you kind of felt like you came, second fiddle to this situation. But we're also talking about physical kind too. Either way, it did not end well. And I'll just be honest with you, yes, they are completely thinking of you, and I can tell you are very much still thinking of them. I mean, of course, that seems obvious when you came to this video, but I can see the way you guys are interacting with each other here. But the way that the cards are interacting and the perspectives that are being shown, I am going to pull a few more cards because everybody, no matter where they're coming from, well, they're coming from somewhere. That's the best way I can put it. Even if it seems like it's not the best intentions, sometimes they're misguided because they're going through something. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. So just listen to everything because it's important that you do, just to understand that. So this is where the quote-unquote worrying comes from when I say the 10 of Wands upright and the 7 of Wands in reverse representing you. I mean, this is them, this is you. So over here, this is when you're in a position where you're allowing yourself to be mistreated. Some people would simplify it and describe it as a doormat. Obviously, I am not saying that because I think that's very harsh, but you catch my drift essentially. And understand that especially when we have the 3 of Swords over here, when we are putting ourselves in this type of position, yes, it's important to say, why am I doing this? Why am I putting my welfare in a bad position? You know what I'm saying? But it's more important to understand, clearly you really cared about them. Clearly there was a lot of love here. There was a lot of just general connection. Why else would it hurt this badly? Why else would you still want to do whatever you can in order to build that connection? So please understand, like, that's really special that you have those sort of feelings and you're able to connect to people that kind of way, but be aware of where our feelings can sometimes mislead the way we can be treated, not the caring. You caring that much is wonderful. Never stop being that loving. Never stop opening yourself up to people in that way. But understand when people are putting you in a position. And that is important here, especially with the way it's facing with the 10 of Wands. So this other person, when they're exhibiting their emotions in this kind of way, they are very comfortable and totally okay with putting a lot of stuff onto you. This could be anything from responsibilities they should be taking themselves. This could be emotional weight. There's a sense of like, you take this, you deal with this. I'm okay unloading on you and leaving you with this and being very aware that I'm overwhelming you and causing you stress and tension and I'm still just adding to it. And because sometimes it's unintentional, but in this case, they are very aware of it, which makes me feel less it's like they're thinking about you and they for sure care about you, but it does feel more about they care about you because of what they can get for themselves. And it also doesn't feel, if this is any sort of comfort, it doesn't feel evil. They're not like a bad person. They just clearly, there's a misconfusion with the way they care and respect and love. So there's something off with that, if that makes sense. You know, sometimes people didn't learn to love properly, if that makes sense. Now here, I'm going to have to be a little bit general because normally I'm just going to say I feel a higher connection that it's you were the one that was cheated on. But because this is a general reading, and I'll be honest with you, in this particular case, I'm feeling kind of definitely torn between the two. There was some sort of, maybe you could have been the one that did it and they're separated from you, if that makes sense. But either way, during this time period, there is a contemplation about the act itself, no matter who did it. Because, and I do want to point this out, if you were the one that did it, they still think that it's better to unload on you rather than fix the problem and talk about why you did what you did and do you want to get back together. Does that make sense? Like there's still a disconnection to the fixing of the solution, if that makes sense altogether. So anyways, back to this. So they seem like they're really contemplating this time period. They're aware. They're just fully acknowledging like, oh, yep, that totally messed everything up. We were doing really well and it all got messed up. I shouldn't have done that. They're very focused on that. But I'm also seeing from the cards themselves, this feels more like your spirit guides popping in and saying this. It seems like it's going to take a little while, and they're asking you to, especially with these card interactions right here, they're asking you to understand that it's going to take some time and some patience and compassion with yourself in order to fully understand and comprehend this, because like right now you're just like in pain, which is understandable, but you're going to eventually realize how they treated you and how they ended up putting you in a position of how like you were only so responding this way because of what they were putting you through and what you thought you wanted to get from them and how you needed to act, if that makes sense. Like they were putting you in a position to be like this, and you're going to understand that over time on a much deeper note. It's going to be one of those epiphany moments where it really clicks in. Maybe you've heard your friends or other people say similar things over and over again, but it doesn't click in until the 100th time, if that makes sense. And when it does, you kind of are able to really comprehend what they did and therefore understand that if they really loved you and this was such a great special relationship, then they wouldn't have done this to begin with. And not just that, but that they did it for a reason. Now, I want to kind of get into this reason because I want to make sure that they didn't, like, Ten of Cups implies you guys did have a great relationship. So this seems very random, weird. I don't know why they were, it feels self-destructive, if that makes sense. And I want to understand, did you accidentally trigger them in some way? Are they going through their own thing? I just want to have specifics. So I'm just going to pull some cards real quickly. Yeah, this is not you at all. This is completely them here. I'm going to move these cards out of the way so it makes more sense. Okay. So this is completely them. It looks like, I think there is a little bit of, how do I express this? It feels kind of like they were, how do I say this? They were emotionally imbalanced. They were not in the best place. It's not really telling me why, but they clearly had been there for a while. This is their own personal journey that they've been going through. This has nothing to do with what you've done in the relationship, anything related to you. And many people suffer from their own personal problems. And it feels like that they were emotionally imbalanced for a while. And it was causing them to be very apathetic and displeased in life in general, not in the relationship. They really cared about you, but their own like view and perspective of the world. And they were trying to overcome that for some time. They were trying to get out of that mindset. They were trying to accept themselves, but in a weird way, it just kind of self-imploded, and that's where we get the whole betrayal thing going on, which is unfortunate. But right now, they're still trying to like accept themselves and overcome it in order, they like understand that they need to stop beating themselves up in order to move forward and change, but they're just kind of all over the place, and yeah, they're just not in a great place right now, unfortunately. They're kind of trapped within themselves, and they thought they were going to become free from making this choice, not because they needed to be free from you, but it was more of like breaking free of the monogamy in their head. Again, I still want to be clear, this has nothing to do with you. I know it seems weird. I know some people don't understand that. It's like the idea of when people say they love you, but they don't want to be with you. And many people are like, I don't understand. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to tell you. It can be both. It's complex. Things aren't always easy. In this case, it really has nothing to do with you. But as soon as they did it, let's just say, well, they suddenly snapped back in and realized they were in a relationship and it still affects you and it still is something to take very personally. So yeah, I'm so sorry to go through something, like to go over something so difficult. But to put it plainly, yeah, you are on their mind. They're very much regretting their decision. And you do need to be aware that maybe is now not the best time to go back to them because they're not in the right headspace to treat you properly, if that makes sense. So yeah, I hope this reading was still helpful and you enjoyed it. If it was, please consider giving the video a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 2. Group number 2, let's find out, am I on their mind, by looking at the cards. We have Ace of Cups in reverse, Page of Cups in reverse, Seven of Wands in reverse, Six of Wands upright, and the Lovers. Ooh. I am definitely pulling more cards over here. Okay, so the first thing I'm seeing is the angel number 151, which talks about the idea of, and this is something I feel like I'm going to get it in when I pull more cards, but I can tell it's important. It basically talks about the idea of like figuring out and expressing your personal truth. Like, what is that? And it does talk about the idea of, by understanding whatever your truth is, whatever your authenticity, whatever you represent, whatever you stand for, like figuring that out and then standing up for it. It's about understanding that with like positive thoughts and positive intentions, you can basically bring about like a big beneficial change in your life. So it's like saying, figure out, what do you stand for? Be honest with yourself. What is it? And then put some positive, affirmations and actions into it, and you're going to notice like a really big shift and change, because now is the time to like better understand yourself. And so it seems like within this situation and the reaction to this situation, you're going to start like asking yourself those like bigger questions, essentially, of being like, we'll go into that. We'll go into it. I don't want to, jump what's the term? Man, I forget every metaphor. Jump the gate, jump the bridge, jump the log. You can tell me what you jump in the bottom of the in the comments. So, I will tell you this right now. The answer is, when you say like, am I on their mind? I'll be honest with you, it's conflicted. It's like, yeah, but not in the way you're hoping for. But stick around. I have some really good stuff to talk about and some positive things to talk about. I'm particularly sure after I pull some cards with this. So when we have the Page of Cups representing this other person that we're talking about, and the Ace of Cups representing, it ended up not going well kind of thing, especially over here in the Seven of Wands, that says a lot about the person and their effect on you. So this, of course, represents like, yeah, just we get that double confirmation of like, it didn't work out. For many of you, this is a general reading, but for many of you, this was like a newer type of relationship. It wasn't that long. It didn't work out, unfortunately. And the after effect of you guys breaking up or not being together right now at the moment has left you kind of blocked emotionally, unfortunately. You just kind of feel stagnant. You don't feel like you're able to open up as much. Maybe you're not even able to fully cry because you're just kind of apathetic and you're like, you went through something, understandably. This is their effect on you. But then we also have their effect on you over here with the Seven of Wands. Now, this does represent two different things. I do want to point out they're both like important to acknowledge. On one hand, it points out how much they like burned you out and stole a lot of your passion and energy and just kind of put you in a place where you started to, how do I say this? Like, often this card represents the term doormat, like allowing someone to step all over you. But in this case, it was more out of survival. It's like you let them get away with things that they wanted to do because they were exhausting you so much that it was just easier that way. So it was like a defense mechanism. You know what I mean? But it also does represent you trying to, how do I say this? It is a metaphor for you fighting and overcoming this person and their effect on you in order to foster and allow this in your life. And I can't wait to get to talk about this. So when we have the Page of Cups, this is your person. This is somebody who is hitting on you or being with you for their own ego's sake. It doesn't mean that it's not like they were wasting their time with you or anything like that, but this is, I can't use the term, but we'll just say like an e-boy. Does that make sense? Somebody who on purpose makes facial expressions and likes the way they look in the mirror a little bit too much, and they get excited more that you're giving them attention than is there a connection, like I'm sure when you were with them, you're like, oh my gosh, they made me feel like this. Oh, they like me. You thought about it on a person to person level. This is somebody who definitely didn't successfully fulfill, the promises they were kind of sending out your way. So it was definitely disappointing. Just keep in mind these type of people, I'll be honest with you, it's a bit of an energy vampire type situation, but on a different level. It's not about revving you up in order to upset you on purpose. It's like they feed off of you giving them attention, but then because they're not ever giving anything back and they're kind of asking more from you than you normally have the ability to give out, it can be quite taxing, as we see over here. This gives some answers to why, if you just feel like disconnected from yourself a little bit, it's just kind of like some symptoms after effect of this. Don't worry, it's not forever, it's not permanent. It's just think of yourself as recharging right now. So they took a lot from you. You need a little while before you can feel more like yourself. Give it some time, be patient with yourself. Don't worry, this isn't forever, you're not broken, nothing, anything like that. But just understand that this is more normal and you're just like kind of going through it, if that makes sense. Wow, Spirit like really came through on that one. Anyways, so I want to pull some more cards for this because this does imply a different relationship. So, I want to be clear about the answer to the question. So are they thinking about you? Yeah, because you're another person, they can like brag that they got to date, but they're not thinking about being with you and, the deep emotional connection back. Does that make sense? But ignore that. Forget about that. Let's talk about some positive stuff I see coming in your future. I just wanted to make absolutely sure this is you and not them. Because so this is the thing, when you pull cards, just because it's about them doesn't mean the cards won't suddenly shift perspective and be talking about you. Often you'll just kind of like know this, I can't explain it, you'll just know it. That's what being a tarot reader is. But I always like to pull backup cards just to make absolutely sure. So, yeah. Ooh, interesting. Okay, this is actually really super helpful to you. Okay, so one, yes, we can confirm with these two cards over here, there is actually a totally different relationship going to be popping up in your life, which is really cool. It generally revolves around a time period of happiness. You're going to be socializing a lot. You're just going to, I can't explain this, but by being in this relationship, it will feel like a successful accomplishment in your life. Like they will be so cool and you'll feel like you're so on top of things and you'll feel so connected. I know we shouldn't view, and I personally don't view relationships as a trophy or a thing to show off or prove to other people. You're dating people for you. But man, when you get a good one, it does feel pretty cool, if that makes sense. And that's very much the vibe I'm getting. So it feels very loving. It feels very equal. It just seems really positive overall, which is really awesome. And over here, these are our confirmation cards that yes, this is true. This is completely, this is what it is. Especially we have over here these two cards. But this is where it gets interesting. So the Ten of Cups we see over here and this card is incredibly positive. When we have the Lovers and the Ten of Cups, this highly, highly implies a really big, like the one long-term, this is it sort of relationship, which I'm very excited to tell you about. So it implies the next person you're with is this big person. So it's like a total dramatic shift change from what the other cards were and the other circumstance was. But I think this is really important for you to acknowledge. When we have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse and the Strength card, this both talks about you. So now that you have this thing to look forward to, so you can move from this to the focus of being like, wow, how cool. Like the next person I'm going to be with is like the one. Wow, that's a 0 to 60 positive change in situation. But you can't focus on it so much. You can't obsess over it. You can't feel impatient. When is it happening? When is it happening? You need to make sure that you kind of just know it's going to happen. Just kind of pull back, relax, don't think about it, let it just happen. Because the more you squeeze at it, not only do you, and try to like be like, where is it? Where is it? The more you're kind of prolonging the time between you and this other person getting together, but also it has the effect here with the Strength card in reverse, which implies a lack of confidence, not trusting in yourself. So the more, like, as time goes on, this isn't going to be forever, I just want to be clear. This isn't going to be like tomorrow, if that makes sense. So while you're kind of waiting and hanging out and you're recovering and rejuvenating with your energy from this person and you're looking forward to this next, kind of forget about it. So you can feel like your best self. They can come into your life faster. Many people would describe manifesting as something where if you think about it too much, if you wish for it too much, you kind of keep pushing it away. You need to give it room to breathe. It's very much that similar concept. So even though it's exciting to look forward to this, let it breathe, let it do its thing, live your life. Otherwise, you're going to start having some really negative symptoms that you're going to add to your already depleted energy. You don't have anything left to share, or so on and so forth. So anyways, yeah, otherwise, very good, very exciting. I'm super pumped for you. Isn't that a really great 180 from where it was before? If you enjoyed this reading, please consider giving this video a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out the channel like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. Let's get ready for group number 3. Group number 3, let's find out, am I on their mind by looking at the cards? We have Knight of Swords in reverse. We have the Empress in reverse. King of Swords in reverse. Page of Swords in reverse. And the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Wow, okay. How do I don't want to be too dramatic when I deliver this. Okay, so first of all, yes, a hard yes. They are completely thinking about you. Here's the thing though. Sometimes you're put in these positions where you just have to deliver information, and I'm very aware and sure you're aware of this, but I think it needs to be said out loud so for context, it like makes sense for you, or you can think about this, mull this over, think about it. So, are they thinking about you? Yeah. Is it like in a very unhealthy, obsessive way? Oh, yeah, like really intense, like maybe a little too intense, like maybe run for the hills intense. Because, okay, so let's go over all of this. Over here, the Empress in reverse, I can see they're very needy. This is coming from somebody who solves their problems by kind of obsessing and becoming way too codependent on whoever they're with rather than, they're afraid to be alone in order to face the hard facts and then deal with the problems. That's not something to criticize. I think we've all been there at one point in our life. I think we have to have empathy for these type of people. And that's not really that bad. It's just uncomfortable, and it can lead to you slowly squashing out the things that you want to do and sacrificing things that you want to do in order to make them happy, not realizing, unfortunately, you just could never make them happy. They're the only ones that can make them happy, and unfortunately, they just do not have that ability at this time in their life. But that kind of energy keeps getting ramped up. So when we have the Knight of Swords, this is somebody who is like, if they could right now, they would make a very dramatic gesture to you, but it would not be thought out well. It would be way too intense. And it's like, it's one of those things where, you know, if you're into like romantic movies and stuff like that, it seems like a really nice idea that they show up to your work and they bring you flowers. This is like someone coming to your work, freaking out, standing in the lobby and having flowers, and you're like, can you not? Can you not do that? That doesn't, this is my job. Please do not do that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like a different sort of intensity. And with it paired with the needy codependent side and the Empress, this is like a stage 5 cleaner. This is intense. I'll be honest with you, King of Swords in reverse is an incredibly worrying card when it comes to any relationship spread. I can't go into specifics because of like rules and guidelines and stuff like that, but let's just say this is the type of relationship that can get quite aggressive, and pretty much anyone would not want to be in this type of situation. It comes from a place of control. It comes from a place of wanting control, but also being unable to control their own self. And so they start to become erratic. And, well, anyways, it's just not good. That's a big red flag for me. I always have to share that when I get that in a spread, because it's super important for your, you. Page of Swords shows us that they just are super self-hating of themselves. It for sure shows us that there's no anything that they're going to share with you and promise you and approach you with is not going to be good. It's not the type of thing like you want to hear. It's not going to lead to anything good. They're not going to put it in a good way. It's overall a message that doesn't get translated well, if that makes sense. And then we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. This is, again, somebody who's super, super leechy. They just take and take and take and take, and they don't know when to say when. They don't really care, but a lot of the times when I get the Six of Pentacles, this is coming from somebody who takes and manipulates. They're fully aware of it, and they're okay with it, but they still do it anyways because it benefits them, and that's all they care about. But in this case, this is coming from somebody who's just unable to provide for themselves. Now, this can refer to your finances, but often with the Six of Pentacles, especially being an emotional spread, this can be your emotions, that can be your time, it can be your vice. There's just an intensity about how they go about wanting more and more and more from you, and this dependency and these erratic emotions that can kind of burst out if it doesn't things don't go their way, so to speak. Overall, I'm so sorry that this is not as joyous as I normally would love to hear it, but I have never really gotten a spread so definitively like, can they point out any more negative flaws? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you read between the lines of what I'm saying? Like, your spirit guides are deeply concerned for you. So the answer is yeah. Oh my goodness, you are totally on their mind. But maybe maybe don't, that doesn't matter. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I mean, the choice is really yours, but these are things to consider, is the best way I can put it. If you know, still enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like, comment, and subscribe because it helps out like you would not believe. Either way, I have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one, and let's get ready for group number 4. Group number 4, let's find out, am I on their mind by looking at the cards? We have 7 of Swords in reverse, 6 of Wands upright. Oh wow, Son of Swords again. Guys, this is why you use multiple tarot spreads or tarot cards. It helps out so much. That's really important. 9 of Swords in reverse. And 7 of Pentacles upright. Alright, I didn't see that coming. Hold on, let me pull some more cards because this is so interesting. All right, the plot thickens. Wow. Okay, we're going there. All right, I love this. Okay, so this totally did not go the way I thought the cards were going, and I love that. Okay, so this is really positive. So when we have the 7 of Swords, it's not always a negative thing, but I often find this pops up when people need to either express an idea or they're hiding an idea, but either way, they're very conscious of either sharing it or keeping it. I don't always, I would say most of the given time, it's just talking about the idea of like, oh, information's being shared or kept away or whatever. It doesn't always have to have a deeper intention. But my goodness, like a good 75% of the time, it is not positive. It's like they didn't want you to know. You know what I mean? It's not that at all though. That's what the good thing is when we have these cards over here. So we have over here in the 6 of Wands in reverse. This is when a relationship does have the potential to do well. That's right. This is going a different way than you had intended. Are you on their mind? Oh yeah, and you're going to talk again. So the relationship has the potential to do well and is going to, do well. But the person that you are going to end up being with isn't the person you first had met. So this could be anything from their personality to their intentions. Overall, you're going to be getting with something slightly different than what you thought you were going to be getting together with, which is really interesting. Now that makes complete sense when we have both of these 7 of Swords coming at this, saying, listen, I've got information to tell you. I didn't tell you before. I can see by the 9 of Swords, it was stressing them out. Oh my gosh. This was stressing them out so much. This is like overwhelming sense of anxiety. And it's the main reason why they haven't been in contact with you. They've been kind of holding back because they were debating whether to tell you or not. But with such an intense, strong double 7 of Swords surrounding the 6 of Wands, this is something that's really important to them. So when they come to you and they're like, listen, I have something to tell you, just be quiet. Just listen. It's very much the core of who they are. It is their whole personality. This isn't one small secret like they accidentally messed up one time or something. This is like an identity thing. You know what I mean? And so it shows that when we have the 6 of Wands, it shows that the thing that they're going to tell you is not a bad thing. In fact, it's something that helps you better understand them, and you just have to make that decision or not, whether you want to accept that information they have to share, and if you're cool with it. But it looks like, when we have 6 of Wands in reverse, it seems like you will be cool with it. That it isn't necessarily all bad, and that it is something you're going to need to like adjust to. Like you're going to need a second, if that makes sense. But you have more of an open mind for this circumstance. Oh my goodness. Sorry. You can't. Hold on. Sorry. Let me just show you. Sorry. I'm totally deviating from this. My friend, my best friend, gave this to me because she's a cutie. And I keep looking up, and it's like hanging off my computer right now, and I keep looking up, and it will be this way, and then I'll look over and it'll be this way. And as you can tell from the video, it's not moving. It's not hanging from a position where it can move at all. It doesn't have the opportunity to move. So I'm just noticing that. Definitely distracting in a good way. I love magical stuff like that. Anyways, so going back to this, but when we have the Seven of Pentacles over here and what's going on over here with the Six of Swords in reverse and everything like that and Temperance, it's really interesting. So the Seven of Pentacles can, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little unclear if this represents you or them, but it's the idea of coming to your partner and saying, listen, I'm putting all my, oh wait, what am I saying? Of course it's them. I'm just saying this out loud. I'm like, it's totally them. It's like them coming to you and saying, listen, this is who I am. This is what I want. These are my intentions. Give it or take it. I've put my feelings out there. Now you decide. So you are going to be the one to ultimately decide if you're going to be back together, but they're going to make their intentions pretty clear and let you know kind of like the new foundation or new starting ground in order to start the relationship more honestly and more authentically being themselves, and knowing that if you accept them for who they are, therefore, you know what I mean, like they can have a nicer relationship because they know you really care about them for them. And then with Six of Swords, this in reverse, this is just like our confirmation of like, oh yeah, you're gonna see them again, definitely, for sure. We already know that, but triple confirmation, heck yeah. And then Temperance card is really interesting because Temperance card pops up when the relationship is kind of like slower. So for some of you guys, this is something where you're just like, this is a friend of yours and you're wondering if they're thinking about you. They are. This is the confirmation that you needed to start out as friends. That's kind of what needed to happen. It needed to progress slow. That's just the way it was. It wasn't nobody was less attracted to the other one. It was a patience thing. It was just how they needed to flourish and how it needed to come to be. But for many of you, this is the starting ground of, by better understanding them, by the information they want to tell you, it's like you can feel closer like friends, like you really understand each other as individuals, and then you're choosing to be together, and then that's where a deeper, more prolific romantic relationship really blooms from that, because you start on that level and it grows from there, if that makes sense. So overall, extremely positive. I'm very excited. I'm very curious what they're gonna tell you. You'll have to let me know. But either way, please be kind and patient with them no matter what. This is really hard for them to share. It clearly has nothing to do with you at all, but they're worried with how you'll view them and judge them. So if you're down for it, this is a pretty cool individual you can have a very deep connection with, and I'm very excited for you, for both of you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, comment, subscribe. It helps out like you would not believe. Either way, have a lovely day. I will see you in the next one. Bye!